Well, the Rangers aren't in the World Series this year, but we will be reliving the grand slam by Adolis Garcia in Game 6 of the ALCS to put them one step closer to the World Series. All of this and talking about the two probable MVPs going head-to-head this Friday. We have all of this and more on the DLLS Rangers Podcast. Welcome into the DLLS Rangers Podcast studio. I am Abby Jones alongside Jeff Wilson. We like to call him J-Dub. We've got the Prophet producing today, and our good friend John Radigan out today. So you're stuck with me and Jeff. Hope you guys can handle it.
He's playing golf. It was a prearranged thing, part of a charity tournament. So we're not going to hold that against him. We love charity.
Yeah.
Here at DLLS, and talked about Do It for Dirt. What was that, last week? We'll be talking about him again this week. Anyway, there's no baseball today or yesterday, so I felt kind of lost last night.
Monday Night Football.
We didn't watch Monday night. I didn't really have any interest, so we watched The Lincoln Lawyer.
Okay.
Which is a pretty good little show. But, I'm looking forward to the World Series starting again. The Dodgers, I'm guessing, were off yesterday, traveled back, and they'll be back today at the ballpark working out. So hopefully we'll get some news about what their pitching plans going forward. They can be a little bit sly about revealing that stuff. The Yankees have already named Garrett Cole the Game 1 starter, but I kind of mentioned this earlier this week, or maybe it was just with John talking, but I really miss covering the postseason.
Yeah.
And, last year at this time I was in Houston, and getting ready for a big game. Everybody thought that the Rangers were pretty much we were going to their funeral, basically. They just lost a heartbreaker. They lost all 3 games at home in the ALCS to the Astros, and the last game was the Jose Altuve walk-off homer after the skirmish with Martin Maldonado and Adolis Garcia. And I tell you what, I really thought that we were just going there to write a kind of a post-mortem, if you will. And lo and behold, the Rangers won.
Rangers did.
Yeah, so a year ago today, Game 6 of the ALCS at Minute Maid Park in Houston, Nathan Eovaldi against Framber Valdez, a pretty salty pitching matchup there. And, the Astros scored a run in the first. Rangers countered it. Mitch Garver coming through with a home run to start the second. And then the Rangers just kind of gradually built their lead. It got to 3-1, then it got to 3-2, then it was 4-2 in the 8th inning. We all know what happened in the 9th, but a very critical part of this game happened in the 8th inning. The bases were loaded with 2 outs. The Astros sent up John Singleton to face Jose Leclerc. Again, bases loaded, tying run at second, and the crowd was loud, and as they had been really pretty much the whole game. And Leclerc, it went to a full count. Singleton fouled off some pitches, and he finally swung and missed one, and that ended the Astros' threat. And then the Rangers went out and scored 5 in the 9th. And of course, the 4 of those came on one swing of Adolis Garcia's bat, and that really just kind of the Astros fans who hadn't left started leaving in droves.
Yeah.
Because Adolis was public enemy number 1.
Right.
No question about it after what happened in Game 5. And he had been booed relentlessly every at-bat when his name was announced, and he struck out the first 4 at-bats. And but not the last time. Not the 5th at-bat.
The one that mattered most. Was that the game that the Astros fans they panned to the crowd, and there were two guys sitting in astronaut suits looking
Might have
defeated.
Might have been. But
that was my favorite postseason meme, I guess you could say. But no, what a huge game. You got a really solid outing from Nathan Eovaldi. Postseason Nasty Nate, he made that name for himself. 6 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 4K, 3 walks. The Astros led the series 3-2, and this was do or die for the Rangers, and they played hard enough, everything was working for them to force a game 7.
Yeah, and then in the ninth, the Astros, they had a really good bullpen. They really did. They brought in Rafael Montero, the former Rangers reliever. He was a Rangers reliever for about a season, and it just kind of unraveled on the Astros. There was a leadoff walk to Josh Young. Then Jose Altuve committed an error, and then Marcus Semien singled to left, and damn, the bases are loaded for Corey Seager. I mean, what a nightmare scenario.
Hit by pitch.
So they bring in Ryan Stanek and all of his hair. And he hit Corey Seager, so there goes a run. Then Evan Carter struck out, so you're like, okay, but it's still 5-2, a nice cozy lead.
Yeah.
And then Adolis it was a line drive. Those Crawford boxes, he hit it high enough. It didn't go very very many rows deep, but that sealed the deal. And I honestly, it gave the Rangers some momentum. And of course, I'm sure tomorrow we'll talk about Game 7, but. They really, the Astros were so bad at home in the postseason. And it was another loss, another kick in the gut. And yes, they still had Game 7. They still had life. But it just seemed like going into Game 7, my feeling was the Rangers were going to win the game.
Right.
They did have some pitching issues, what we'll get into tomorrow. But it just felt like something had clicked. And they were gonna slay the giant the next day, and that's ultimately what happened. But I just good for Adolis. I mean, it really woke up Adolis. I mean, he'd had a great series, and then he ended up having the huge Game 7, being the MVP. But man, that was a good one. That was a good one. That was a gutty win. You talk about gritty wins and all of this. That one. Game on the line. It seemed like every time the Astros threatened, a pitcher came through, and then when the Rangers needed to step on their throats, Adolis Garcia is the one who did it. And
he was happy to do that.
And as he rounded the bases, he motioned he did this, right? He did I can't hear you, or maybe that was the next
one
time.
of the two.
But anyway, he deserved to do it, and it was good. It was really really good stuff.
Yeah, and we talked about, the best players being the best in these games, but, Jonah Heim homered in this game. Mitch Garver homered in this game. So it was also those complimentary players really stepping up. And this series, I feel like, we're definitely going to do a deep dive into the World Series run because we really haven't gotten to relive much of that with you guys. But this series was just such a nail biter. And, I think that the opinion of the people was that, oh, these are two Texas teams. Like, nobody's that interested, except the state of Texas. But I disagree. This is such a big rivalry. Great names of the game. So I think that this kind of, got baseball fans interested.
Well, okay. So the Astros have been good for a long time.
Right.
But the genesis of their them becoming good and winning the World Series is clouded by the pitch stealing, the trash can banging, the illegal camera out in center field. And so there were fans who, after the report came out, who just loathe the Astros. Many of them Rangers fans, of course, but there are baseball fans who think that the Astros have a black eye, and when it comes time to, consider Jose Altuve for the Hall of Fame, let's say, are people going to hold that against him? You can look at Carlos Beltran right now, who's on the Hall of Fame ballot and has numbers that are pretty darn close to being worthy of induction into the Hall of Fame, and he's not. I think that's being held against him. Because he was the guy who kind of championed it.
Yeah.
And, and so anyway, but to your point, the interest, good baseball is interesting. I mean, I really have no dog in the fight in a lot of these series here in this year's playoffs. I mean, I have former Rangers players who we've worked with who I wanted to see good things happen. The Padres, for instance, I was rooting for Yu Darvish and Jurickson Profar, but those were just great games. And this Guardians Yankees series, I know it was 4-1 outcome, but those were some really good games. It'll just be, obviously there's going to be a lot of attention on this year's World Series because it's the two biggest media markets and all the tradition and everything. But that series, it was big for the state of Texas, but I think it was just good baseball.
Good for the game of
the Rangers
baseball.
won the first two games there in Houston, tight games. They didn't play great at home until Game 5 and ended up losing that, and a gut-wrenching home run by Altuve, and then they went on the road and really dominated the Astros. So,
they dominated everybody on the road.
They did. That is true, and we're going to get into that here in a second. But that's just something else.
Well, let's take a look at that grand slam by none other than Adolis Garcia.
In the ninth, Stanek's 1-1 is drilled on a line, left field and gone! Adolis Garcia makes his statement, and the Rangers have their sights set on Game 7. Well, it wasn't the train tracks, but it was special. In the ninth, Stanek's 1-1.
Yeah, so that one got out in a hurry. And then his first time at the next line, it looked like he did the exact same thing, except it hit off the top of the wall, and he ended up with a single when it probably should have been a double. But anyway, just very, very fond memories. As a hardened journalist, you don't root for the team you cover, but you do root for the players, and winning does make your job easier. And also, I had a book deal on the line, so I needed the Rangers to go to the World Series, then ultimately win it. But anyway,
well, devil's advocate, I guess. So the Rangers, prior to that Adolis Garcia grand slam, it was 5-2, so they were going to win that game.
Yeah.
But do you think that without the grand slam, they wouldn't have won Game 7?
I don't know.
Did that momentum carry that much?
Okay, well let's kind of we got to go to our ads here in a second, but it was 5-2. Let's say he doesn't hit the grand slam, but let's say they get a run. All right, so let's say it's 5-2. Let's say they get out of it. So you're going to send Jose Leclerc back out, who had issued a walk, a hard line drive out, and then a strikeout in the 8th. He's going back out to try to win, to close out a game that he couldn't do it in Game 5. So you're going to be a little bit nervous, I think, if you're a Rangers fan. So 9-2, the Rangers had the luxury of saving him and sent Andrew Heaney out. So the grand slam was huge. It was huge for that game, and then it was huge for I think the next day.
Yeah.
So
it was. All right, time to get to our ads. We are going to talk about two of the biggest names in baseball, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, if you need me to clarify. Two guys up for MVP in the AL and the NL, and they are facing off in the World Series. So stick around, the DLLS Rangers Podcast.
Hey guys, I don't know if you've noticed my my sweet hat with the dog silhouette, but that is the Roback logo. This is a Roback hat, but Roback does so many things for men and the ladies, as Abby was looking into it yesterday. Quite simply, Roback activewear. It has the best fit, the best feel, and the quality of the gear speaks for itself. Their performance polos are better in the heat than any other polos, which is big. It's going to be above 90 again today, I think. It's ridiculous. Anyway, they're moisture wicking, so when you're out playing golf or fishing or at a picnic, the shirt's not going to stick to your skin. The collars never lose their shape, which is a big deal, and they have all kinds of shapes and colors and fun prints. So look, use the code. We have a code now for each team. DLS Rangers 20 on Roback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. And that's 20% off all polos, hoodies, and shorts with the code DLLS Rangers 20.
And then we're going to go to our friends with Shady Rays. They were so kind and gave everyone here a nice new pair of shades. I love mine. I use mine when I run out around town in Dallas, and they're very cool. They're very durable. They have so many styles that you can choose from. They also offer prescriptions and polarized sunglasses as well. So they've got your team's favorite colors, but just so many different styles to choose from. They will hold up against anything that you can imagine. They're incredibly durable, and they're honestly a pretty good price. So you could give the gift of Shady Rays to a few of your friends. I know you passed yours along
To my brother-in-law.
to your brother-in-law. So great gift there. But we have a 35% off discode DLLS Shady Rays. All right, it's time to talk Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. And again, with the disclaimer of these hitters, Aaron Judge is not going to get pitched to how he would in the regular season. So his numbers are down a little bit.
Yeah.
But these two are leading the conversation and will be probably the MVP of the American League and the National League. We've talked about it. There's only been 6 times that 2 MVPs have met in the World Series.
Yeah.
And the last time was 2012 with Miguel Cabrera and Buster Posey. So, you know, it's a really big game here. I think Kennedy Landry actually shared a tweet yesterday, and she was like, what do you people want? You were mad about the Rangers and the Diamondbacks World Series because it wasn't big market enough, and now you're mad about Yankees Dodgers. So what do you actually want? I think if you're a baseball fan, this is everything you could dream of.
Yeah, okay, if your team's not in it, all right, and you want star power, you want history, tradition, even if it's the evil empire against the team that spent $1 billion this offseason, you want to see baseball's best at their best. And so this series, you know, everybody's going to talk about Ohtani, obviously, being in the World Series for the first time, but Aaron Judge is in the World Series for the first time. Garrett Cole is, as you mentioned yesterday. So it's a big deal. And again, the 2 MVPs, I mean, I can't imagine anybody catching Ohtani. Judge has, you know, Bobby Witt had such a great year. Jose Ramirez too. But I would anticipate that, you know, they're going to be unanimous. The only thing I could see that would be held against Ohtani is that he's a DH. So maybe there's some old crusty writer out there who will not vote for him because he didn't play defense. Okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. But let's say so they're going to be the MVPs, and you know, they're both these tall, good, you know, well-built, physical guys. Mammoths, if you will. Okay. One's a right-handed hitter, Judge. The other's a left-handed hitter, Ohtani. Ohtani runs better than Judge. Judge plays center field at 6'6", and they both, of course, hit tons and tons of home runs. So, you know, these lineups are still great without them. That's the crazy thing. But they're the ones that all eyes are going to be on. They're going to get pitched the hardest. Pitching changes will occur before them. Intentional walks might happen too. So I'm looking forward to seeing them, but just again, with all this history and tradition, I just love it.
And do we need to say, like, you expect this to go to a game 7-6 at least, but really, truly, again, like the talent on these teams.
Well, you hope it lives up to the hype.
Yeah.
I think that's the key thing. It would be great to see tight games. It would be great to see a 7-game series. The more games, the merrier. I want to hang on to baseball as long as I can, even if it goes into November. November 2nd, I believe, would be the date for Game 7, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, we want to do it, but we'll predict on Friday probably what's going to happen. But I think that it will be a tight series. It will be. You know, who knows what's going to happen with the home and the road thing. We'll get into that in a little bit. But to see Aaron Judge with the opportunity to perform on the biggest stage, Ohtani on the biggest stage, there are going to be a lot of eyeballs worldwide. You know, there are going to be a lot of eyeballs in Japan on this thing. So
Right.
Hopefully it does live up to the hype. Hopefully they are the two best players and two heavyweight fighters. I know the heavyweight classification in boxing isn't what it used to be, but it would be great to see Ali Frazier, type of thing, a trilogy, if you will. Except this will be 7 of them, and it'd be great to see them both land some haymakers. But they're going to have a lot of help.
No doubt about that. And I did look it up. Garrett Cole, he's started before.
Oh, and the Astros. My
so
fault.
this is he's 2 starts in. So he will be starting game 1, like we mentioned. But let's go ahead and just take a look at what Judge and Ohtani have done in the regular season. Like we mentioned, MVP's probably undoubtable there, but apples to oranges almost, but it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, you look at when Aaron Judge is healthy, he's terrific. He's dealt with injuries a couple times in his career, but you look, all right, so maybe he's a little bit better hitter. All right, a little bit more,
not a dual pitcher.
Bit more power. He does not play both ways. So I think we talked about this, I don't know, a month ago. Will Ohtani be able to post the same numbers next season when presumably he's going to be a starting pitcher and pitching every 5th or 6th day? I mean, he hasn't had to he's had to rehab his arm, yes, and he has started to throw and started to throw in progression, but he hasn't had to throw bullpen sessions, between starts. He's had a lighter workload this season. So how much of effect will having a starter's workload and being a hitter have on him? And it's going to be it won't be inconsequential. I think there will be a dip in his offensive numbers. If he is starting a game and batting, and he's had a tough inning, but he gets on base, is he going to try to steal second and third? So I just think there's going to be a drop in production. He's still going to be a great hitter. I'm not saying that he's going to all of a sudden drop to 18 homers and 5 steals. No, but I think the pitching will take a toll. But on the other end, he's going to be doing something else that nobody's ever done before, pitching at a dominant level and hitting at a dominant level at the same time. So next year, he's going to be a shoo-in for the MVP again, and because nobody does what he does. Judge, on the other hand, nobody in the American League has hit, in the history of the American League, has hit more home runs in a season than Aaron Judge. He did that in 22 with the Roger Maris beater here at Globe Life.
I was about to say, we got to watch
Globe Life Field off of Jesus Tinoco. He's like I said, when he's healthy, he's great. And keeping him healthy, especially with him playing center field, that's a chore. I don't know. When you throw in Ohtani pitching, there's no comparison. But right now, if you want to say who had a better season, you have the 50-50. Everybody's marveling over, but gosh, you can't. You put those numbers side by side, and that's really about the only place that Ohtani has the edge on Judge.
Right. And now let's take a look at the postseason numbers, because you're really only good in the postseason as you are in the postseason. I mean, the regular season wrapped up already. So, like we said, I think we have to look into how many times Judge has been walked as well. But, Ohtani has the numbers here okay. But, it's about being pitched to and the matchup there.
Yeah, it seems like maybe teams have pitched around Aaron Judge. Maybe Austin Wells was batting behind him at the time. But when you put Stanton behind him,
that really,
I don't know if you really want to do that anymore.
That really clicked.
So that's going to change. He's going to get, with Stanton so hot, the ALCS MVP, maybe Judge sees some better pitchers. But, think about going back to the series, the Cleveland series, for what was it, the first 3 games, those guys had batted, I want to say 8 times. So after the first 2 games, they had batted 8 times and faced 7 different pitchers apiece. I mean, that's crazy. That's kind of the effect of a bullpen game. You're seeing fresh arms with their best stuff, and relievers just go out there and put their arm, put it all on the line. Their stuff moves more. Their fastballs are a little bit harder, however you want to say it. But Ohtani didn't start out great in the postseason. He definitely heated up in the division series, and you think maybe Judge showed some life there those last 3 games. against the Guardians with the 2 home runs. Or maybe it was he hit home runs in 2 of the last 4. Whatever. He appears to be trending the right way as he heads to the most important series of his career.
Right. And, this World Series will showcase the hardest hitters in baseball. I know we're going to break down all of the numbers probably Friday, but it is interesting because it's a pick your poison with these New York Yankees. Like we've mentioned before, you've got Soto, who's hitting .333 in the postseason, Aaron Judge 161, and then Stanton sometimes behind him at 294. And if Austin Wells is in the mix, not great, but sometimes does his job to get on base, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of having this conversation about if Stanton is the hot guy, and he's 5 home runs in the ALCS?
Something like that. A bunch.
I mean, do you change who you're not going to pitch to then?
Well,
I mean,
okay. If the Yankees are going to line up Soto, Judge, Stanton, okay, and we know and the Dodgers open with Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, which trio is better? I mean, right now with Freeman hurt, then do you say the Yankees?
Yeah.
You might. Now Gleyber Torres is their leadoff hitter, so that throws a little wrinkle in it. And with Ohtani, I mean, the starting pitcher is under the gun right away. I mean, not that Gleyber Torres isn't good, but he's not Shohei Ohtani.
He's not Ohtani. Yeah.
So
he wouldn't get offended by that statement.
No,
either.
I think he understands his lot in life. But I just think that it's. I'm just really looking forward to seeing that. I mean, those are the 3 guys you're going to have to pitch to them at some point. There's no way to pitch around 3 straight guys.
Yeah.
You don't want to 3 intentional walks and then just let your pitcher go at whoever's behind them. No, of course not, because there's capable hitters there. But that's if they get, it's important that guys get on ahead of them so that teams have to pitch to them. You probably won't see any steals from the bottom of the lineup if Ohtani is up. You don't want to open up first base and give the Yankees a chance to walk them. We talk about the big 3, and they're going to be huge in this, but they have to have guys on base ahead of them too. So that's kind of where your bottom of the order comes up. And Ben is upset that we're forgetting about Tommy freaking Edman. Sorry, Ben. I can't believe I did that.
Well, I mean, they're the best of the best because there is no break in the lineup.
Yeah.
And this is just the best in baseball. I'm really excited for it. I think it's going, I've said it a million times, I think it's going to be one of the most viewed World Series of all time. I know that Rob Manfred would love a Game 7 going into that. And I haven't even looked up the sports that'll also be on too, because it's, the football is going to dictate a few things.
They try to avoid football Sundays. That's why the World Series is starting on Friday. But I think a Game 7 would be on Saturday. The second's a Saturday. Monday Night Football can't avoid that one, but that's okay. There will be a lot of eyeballs on this series. I know the NBA is starting soon with the Mavs starting up Thursday. I think the Lakers play tonight, right? So there will be that, and it's you've got over the euphoria of opening night in the NHL. So I think a little college football head to head won't hurt MLB too much.
You can multi-view your screens now.
That's right. So. That's right. I need to look into that, because the other night I was flipping through 4 channels.
Oh no, you got a multi-view.
Yeah. Well, I've got a multi-view. I've got to get multiple TVs. I've got a lot. I've got a lot I want to get done, but I got to run that past the wife. Yeah.
Well, up next, we are going to be talking about home field advantage. Who really has the advantage? All of this and more on the DLLS Rangers Podcast.
All right, Ben, you're going to enjoy this one. It's time to talk about Blue Chew. It says we can have fun with this, but we prefer the straight lead as much as we can. They say first impressions are important, but what about lasting impressions? That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps boost your confidence in the bedroom so that you can perform at your very best. And look, it's not just for the fellas; it's for the ladies too. All right, because they like what you can offer. But Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but for the fraction of the price and in a chewable form. It's simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once approved, you'll get your prescription within days. Made in the USA, Blue Chew. That's cool. And this is all done online. You don't have to talk to your doctor uncomfortably, and the receptionist who answers the phone, and you don't have to go to the pharmacist and talk to them about it. And you can take these any day or night so that you're ready whenever the mood hits. So we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try it for free. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code ALLCITY at checkout. Pay just $5 for shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and safety information.
And Rowback, like the hat that Jeff is wearing, the best gear. It's performance polos. I'm from Alabama, so I've been seeing these for years now. It seems like every time you go to like a college tailgate or heck, the grocery store, somebody's wearing where I'm from, an Alabama elephant and some Rowback gear. So it's the best performance polos. They have a wicking fabric, so you're not going to get too hot. But go to rowback.com. We have a code for you, DLLS20, for 20% off on your order.
And you know what you can do? Rugged Road Cooler and Rowback, they're like made in the shade. They're a perfect pair. And if you use
there you go.
DLLS promo code at ruggedroad.com, you get 10% off.
Look at you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about home field advantage.
Okay.
Slightly different in baseball. What the Rangers did on the road last year was historic.
Yeah.
They went 11-0, undefeated on the road. My favorite part of their ring, my buddy at Jason's of Beverly Hills created it. You open up the, I guess, top capsule of the ring, and it spells out road, and the Rays, the Orioles, the Astros, and the Diamondbacks for the D.
Yeah, with their logos.
Yes,
yeah,
with the logos. 11-0. I mean, that was never done before in postseason history. So, what made that possible for the Rangers?
Well, you can look at a couple different things. One, they went to Tampa Bay with their two best starters ready to go. Evaldi, Montgomery, then Evaldi. Was how that worked out, and then the team somehow managed to figure out a way, to overcome the disappointing end of the season. All right, so they win those two. They've had good playoff success at Tropicana Field, of course, completely different teams. But here we go to Baltimore, and Baltimore had a bye. They had the best record, and so we've talked about it on this show. And it's been written about, by a lot of the national writers. The teams with the byes aren't necessarily doing that great since this new format appeared. And so the Rangers were able to win those two games. The first one was they needed a break. They caught a break when Gunnar Henderson missed a sign or whatever in the ninth, and Jonah Heim threw it out trying to steal second. That was huge. But nevertheless, there's 4-0. Then they, and everybody forgets they opened the playoffs 7-0, because they did win that one game at Globe Life Field, game 3 of the ALDS. But then they go on the road to Houston. Jose Altuve has the base running blunder in one of the games. The Rangers jumped on Framber Valdez to kind of hang on in that one. So then that's 6 road wins. Then they go home. Everybody's feeling great. They're going to take care of business. Well, if you remembered September, the Astros came into Globe Life Field and just wrecked the Rangers. I mean, just the one game was close, but they were just hitting home runs and just flattening the Rangers. Really looked like the superior club at the time. And then so they win all 3. And then we just talked about Game 6. We're going to talk about Game 7 tomorrow. And then you go to Arizona. A fiery crowd, I guess. But the key to those games, at least the first 2, was Corey Seager and the early offense. In Game 4, the Rangers were up 10-0 after like the 3rd or 4th inning. So give me a break there. Game 5, they squeaked out a win. Dominant. It was a starting pitchers duel. The Rangers finally broke through in the 7th, and then Josh Sborz was terrific in relief, and in the 9th they got the 4 spot there to win the game and ultimately win the series. it was just crazy though. You're just kind of waiting for like, oh, okay, well, that's over. That was a nice streak.
Yeah,
That's a
nice little run.
nice story. But gosh, to win all 11 road games, it's just unheard of. You don't even hear about it in the regular season. Teams doing that, and if it does happen, you're like, holy crap, that's really good. So for the Rangers to do what they did, and they've home field advantage has always been a murky thing in baseball, but the Rangers right there just created the best argument for how worthless it is. Right. Winning 11 straight road games. So, and you look kind of at the division series. The Mets actually took advantage of their situation, winning 2 of the 3 in Citi Field, but then the Guardians lost 2 of the 3. So it just doesn't seem to have an effect. It really doesn't seem to matter.
Well, I think it's interesting because if I know anything about baseball players, they're the most superstitious people I've ever met, and I've heard some of them, a reporter asked them a question, hey, you're on this hitting streak, and they get mad. They're like, I don't want to know that. Don't tell me. So it's, it's almost like the elephant in the room, and once you point it out and once it's a thing, because, okay, you win 4, you win 5, whatever. You win 6 or 7, though, and it's kind of a thing. And then people are talking about it. And because it's the postseason, I mean, everything is so elevated and everything, you hear the articles. It's on every radio station and TV, like MLB Network would drill in, Rangers are undefeated on the road. Rangers are undefeated on the road. So it's insane to me that these guys were constantly hearing, hey, we're undefeated on the road. And then they didn't let it get to them mentally, because I do just know that they don't really like to be aware of streaks, good or bad, to be honest.
Well, but I think at some point you get confident too, and you realize, because Baltimore can be a crazy place. When the Orioles are good, Baltimore is Camden Yards is a great venue and a great atmosphere. Tampa, of course, is an awful atmosphere. That might have helped too. I think they had 19,000 was their biggest crowd for one of those 2 games. I mean, that's horrible. And so then you go to Houston, a place where the Rangers had really struggled the last, 7-8 years, but the Astros were struggling at home in the postseason too.
Still are.
And had struggled really late in the year all the way through. So I don't know. It's just crazy, but I think starting pitching dictates, gives you the biggest advantage. If your starter's better than the other guy, you're going to have a chance. And early runs always seem to be a big deal in situations like that for the road team. That way their starting pitcher, who's probably feeling some pressure pitching in a pressure-packed game, it takes a little bit of pressure off. Even if it's just 1-0, he has a little cushion to work with,
little wiggle room.
But when it's 3 or 4-0, boy, that changes things dramatically.
Well, the stat is that home field advantage does play a little bit to the overall championship, 67% of the time. The series does start in LA, but interesting that winner-take-all situations, it's kind of the opposite. They're 19 of 21 all-time and winner-take-all World Series when playing at home, and 64-66 winner-take-all in postseasons, period. So that is really interesting because when I was working the finals for the Mavericks, Bobby Wilson pulled me aside and he was like, how big of a difference is home field, with basketball or home court?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's make or break. And it is just interesting that it doesn't play that. I mean, it's weird to have a losing record for the home team in that kind of scenario.
Yeah. And maybe that's, shooting backgrounds or just, there is comfort at home, but baseball players have that. They have a familiar, hitting backdrop, and they know what the balls are going to do. Crazy bounces off the walls and whatnot. It's just, again, you look at the starting pitchers, and if they come out and they're good, you're in trouble. That's just fact. And trying to think of clinchers here, or game 7s or whatever, like the 2017 World Series. The Dodgers were at home, and the Astros beat up Yu Darvish and won the game on the road. And St. Louis had the home field advantage in Game 7 of the 2011 World Series, but really they won that game in with the way they won Game 6. If you want to, but the Giants in 2010 were so good. They won the first 2 games over the Rangers in San Francisco, won 2 of 3. At the old ballpark, they won Game 7 of the 2014 World Series on the road with Madison Bumgarner winning at Kansas City. So, to your point, it seems like it's a coin toss.
Yeah,
and just depends on who's better on the mound that day.
Well, I guess it's a good thing that this is in LA and New York, where it's actors, it's athletes, it's businessmen, it is models, it is all the things. Because let's take a look at the very first ticket when these two teams played in 1941. It was $1.10 back in 1941. And I love those back in my day stories because I would give my left arm to go to a World Series game for $1.10. Now let's take a look. 2024, some odd years later. Jeff can do the math.
I'm not going to do it.
1,000.
Yeah, that's secondary market.
$85 for essentially a nosebleed.
Yeah. Now, we bought World Series tickets last year through the Baseball Writers Association. You're allowed to. I don't know if it's one of the perks. You get access. You still have to pay full price. And I think our seats for the third deck were $175 a piece. So, face value versus the secondary market, probably a little different. But they probably didn't have secondary markets in 1941. And in 1941, if we want to throw history into it, that was before the attacks of Pearl Harbor. Going forward, life was a little bit different the next few World Series. But
Misty said 83 years. So
thanks, Misty.
A lot of
59 and 24. You're right.
A lot of things are going to change, no doubt.
Yeah, but
$1.
$1.10, and So if our tickets were $175 compared to $1.10, what is that, like a $10,000% increase?
Don't even ask me.
Yeah, me neither. But it's a lot.
But just for anybody that doesn't know, players have to pay for their tickets too.
They do.
It's not like just because you're in it, you get to go for free. I mean, my dad spent probably the most money he's ever spent of his career when he was in the World Series and the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So you're buying suites. Everyone calls you, and I can't imagine. I felt for, Robbie Grossman especially, and Nathan Eovaldi for our World Series, the Rangers World Series.
Oh yeah, because they're from Houston.
Because they're from
and from Texas.
Yeah, and it's like Josh Young. You think of your third grade classmate. Oh,
Yeah.
I just can't. Hey, you remember me? And kind of feel for those guys. But no, hey, it's in a good place because those people can afford it. Saw that parking was like $6,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A parking lot. I don't know.
If you've never been to Dodger Stadium, the only way I know how to get there is to exit I-5, and you basically go up it's like a mountain pass. You're driving up the side of this hill, and then you go up, but it's 2 lanes. It's not like a highway going in. And you drive past a nice little city park and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden the parking lots. There's a parking lot right there. But it takes forever to get in and out of that place, and it holds 50,000 people.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I don't know. Maybe the parking includes like a helicopter ride or something, because that's the best way to get in there is to go over the traffic, because I can't imagine. So all right, if you're paying $6,000 for parking, what do you expect to pay for a ticket?
Just Uber.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have one memory at Dodger Stadium. We were staying at a hotel very close, like you could look down and see it. And it was like afternoon, and I did see my dad running. He was running stadiums.
Okay.
And I waved to him from the hotel. That was cute. But a lot more to come up on the show. We are going to just wrap up, this show today and talk about some free agency. If you have any Rangers related questions, please let us know. We've seen a few in the chat. We'll definitely bring them up, but we want to answer your questions. It's off season, a lot that we're keeping our eye on, especially in the Arizona Fall League. We'll be talking about that too. So all of this and more on the DLLS Rangers podcast. Stick around. All right. I got a package today, and I'm going to probably have to move my mic because I want to show you the shirt that I got. I went against the Rangers, and I decided to go with the Cowboys. So I have the DLLS. I like this little guy.
You like the guy?
It's a fun shirt. We have the merchandise here, and this is a very soft shirt.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, I would sleep in it, I'd work out in it, all the things. But that is something that just came in today. Jeff is wearing.
I've got shirt number 3 here.
His Skyline shirt. Yeah, Jeff, you've been
Yeah,
wearing so much gear.
Let's see. I've got this one. I did For the Love of Texas. I have 2 of those. So my wife is going to probably take the second one because I thought she bought it for herself. And then Texas Chew yesterday, and I've got TCU tomorrow. I think I got one more coming, another baseball one. So the one with just the red flag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to them, and they're great shirts.
Yeah,
they're super cozy.
They're very comfortable.
I love a good T-shirt. I'll wear it until it falls apart. But I'm telling you, these are durable. I don't see them falling apart.
Could be a while before that happens. Also, we have an exclusive offer. It's our best offer ever on Die Hard. You can join our community for $4 a month. You get a free T-shirt, access to exclusive reporting, and a pass to our Discord lounge, and much more. So check it out today. It is our best offer. Won't last for a long time, so be sure to check that out. We've got posts behind the paywall, content that you're going to want to read. You get 20% off of merch. You get 20% off of events, and you get a free T-shirt every single year. So $4 a month, and that's pretty affordable.
That is affordable, and it's kind of we're calling it an introductory offer. I know that some of you were introduced earlier, but this is an introductory offer, not quite the same as the original offer. So don't sweat it. You're not missing out. But we're pretty excited about it. And if you haven't joined yet, now's the time to do it.
All right. Well, some Rangers Fall League. Arizona Fall League started not too long ago.
Yeah, and it's the best of the best prospects. Not all the best prospects, because they're going to protect mostly really, really good pitchers and guys who've had a full season. But it's a showcase for guys. It's an opportunity for teams to showcase these players who might be Rule 5 eligible. And the Rangers have a bunch of those, but Alejandro Ozuna is doing real good. Really well. Geez, who am I? Such bad grammar. My aunt would be so mad at me. Anyway, he's doing very well for the Surprise Saguaros. That's where the Rangers go and play their ball, and they use the Rangers clubhouse and everything. He's batting .333 early on here. He's been the best of the position players. Max Acosta has come on strong, continuing his second half. He had a great second half for Frisco. He's batting around .265, I think it was, and Cody Freeman's down there at .200. On the pitching side, the best pitcher, and this is good news, has been Josh Stephen, the local kid from Grand Prairie. Went to South Grand Prairie High School, signed for $20,000 in the 2020 COVID draft because he didn't want to. He just figured, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to start my career now. He's been hurt the last couple of years. He has an .093 ERA after 9 innings,
wow.
So that's really good. You have Mark Church, who debuted. He got roughed up in one outing. Skylar Hales, who finished at Frisco, who was on the weekly podcast that I do with John Moore, he has a 27 ERA, and that's down. All right, it was 45, but he's only pitched an inning in 2/3. Has given up 5 runs. He's working on his breaking ball. That's the important pitch for him. Throws super hard. If he can get a good breaking ball with the same tunnel and arm action, all that stuff, he's going to be a big leaguer. He's probably going to be in the big leagues next year, I think. I think he's got a real good chance just because of the velo and throws a lot of strikes. And then another guy who's been hurt a lot lately is Avery Weems. He didn't pitch at all last year because of Tommy John surgery. And then he comes back and this year and he's ready to go, has a full spring. He hurts his finger, has to have surgery. Doesn't come back till the very end of the year, so the Rangers are getting him some innings. He's only made 3 appearances, 2 2/3 innings, but he's an Arizona native, so that's fun for him. I'm assuming a guy to watch. He was the other guy in the Dane Dunning, Lance Lynn trade, and if he can stay healthy, he's got a chance to be a left-handed piece in the bullpen. And depending on what the Rangers do with their relievers, they definitely are going to have openings. Kirby Yates, probably David Robertson, Jose Leclerc is going to be a free agent for the first time. So there's three arms that the Rangers have counted on. Josh Sborz had a really injury-plagued 2024. So how much can you count on him for next year? So there are a lot of questions. You're going to see a lot of guys who are going to be called up and move up and down from AAA to the big leagues as it happens every year. And guys like Church, Hales, and Weems are likely to be among them next year. So just some names to remember, and they're all getting in some work against some top flight competition.
And if you're in the minor leagues, how pivotal is this to your development?
Well, it should be a confidence boost and tell you, hey, these guys like me. My organization likes me. They want to give me a challenge, or they want me to keep working on something for next year. And honestly, these games are heavily scouted. Every team scouts them, and there are some trade opportunities there. If the Rangers aren't willing to sacrifice a 40-man spot to, let's say, protect Max Acosta, well, they probably would like to trade him, and get something for him instead of risk losing him. So there's a lot of things at play in the Arizona Fall League, but for these guys who maybe got off to a slow start in their careers, like Acosta, who was injured. He had thoracic outlet syndrome. He was also part of the COVID season and lost a year. So did Weems. I believe Freeman did as well. But just they're going to have a lot of eyeballs on them, not just Rangers eyeballs, but eyeballs from across the league. So if they don't break through with the Rangers, they might break through somewhere else.
And I know winter ball is on the agenda of Jonathan Ornelas. Is there any other? He hasn't
debuted yet. I think the Rangers were planning on sending Cole Winn, who pitched in Puerto Rico last year and really kind of revitalized and kind of jump started him for his major league debut. He had a shoulder or a lat, something that really took him out of action, but he is throwing again, and I think the plan was for him to go to somewhere in winter ball and pitch just to get innings, because again, he's another guy that the Rangers could use next year. But yeah, Ornelas hadn't debuted yet. The Dominican Winter League is, I think they're 8 or 9 games in. I think Jonathan was going to go toward the end of this month and stay for a month. And then I looked at the rosters. The rosters are fun to look at. You see tons of major leaguers, or former major leaguers, and maybe it shouldn't have surprised me, but Neftali Feliz is pitching again, and Neftali Feliz was in our thumbnail, yesterday with the Game 6 2010 ALCS getting the final out. He's still out there giving it a go. I don't think he pitched in minor league baseball this year, but hey, you know what? What the hell? Just go out there and do it. But you see some former prospects, Rangers names, former Rangers like Hanser Alberto and Angel Beltre, Larry Garcia. Hanser and Lurie are teammates again this winter. So it's just kind of fun. If you're a baseball fan and you want to have a good time, just go look at the rosters. You'll be entertained.
Yeah. And so Josh Young and Adolis Garcia off-season surgeries.
Yeah, they're still in the rehab phase. Josh is getting closer, I think. He's probably about a week or two away from being able to begin strengthening the arm and starting his baseball activities. Adolis was still probably end of November before he would start. His was a 8-week timeline. Evan Carter has started his hitting progression, so that's good. I'm guessing these guys are getting back to work. The cleats that were donated to Do It for Durrett for Marcus Semien, they were autographed at the ballpark. Mm-hmm. So Marcus doesn't take time off.
Well, we know that about Marcus Semien.
He wants to get he said he wants to get his body in order. Josh is probably up there getting treatment, maybe doing some rehab stuff. Jonah Heim said he was going to start up November 1st.
Does he live here in the offseason?
He lives in the just outside of the Metroplex. Okay. So yeah, he'll be at the ballpark off and on. It should be a good group with Josh Young this year. Evan Carter stayed around this year. Josh Smith, of course, lives here. Marcus, so that's 4 pretty good guys. Jonah 5. I'm sure there are others. There are a lot of minor leaguers who like to hang around here, and sometimes they get to go work out at the ballpark. So yeah, but that's starting to happen now for the Rangers. These guys answer their pants and want to get back to it, and Marcus probably is the leader in ants and pants.
We'd rather have that. I saw a question from Natalie, I think, a little early on about free agents. I know we've tossed around a few names,
Yeah.
How realistic do you think Corbin Burns is?
I don't think it's very realistic. The Rangers still haven't at least told the media. I hope they know how much money they're going to have to spend in 2025, or have money to spend this offseason. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi's a big free agent, right? So Nathan Eovaldi, assuming he takes his player option, he'll be a big free agent, and the Rangers will be very competitive in attempting to get him. Even if they don't have as much money in their budget as they did this year, he will still be their number one target. Is Kirby Yates a big free agent? Probably. I mean, I don't know what you pay a guy who's going to be 37 or 38. Do you want to give him a 2-year deal? David Robertson was great at 39 for a 1-year deal. So I would assume that those are going to be the Rangers' top 2 targets. I don't think Corbin Burns is going to get too much money, and it sounds like the Orioles owner has money to spend. Their new owner who wants to get out and spend some money. So they're going to have issues in a couple of years when all their good young players start hitting arbitration. They may want to start committing some money for those guys. But I think that the Rangers are going to be very targeted in their offseason. Eovaldi, okay. Yates, you would hope, but then it'll be very targeted for needs. Like, they want to have a backup catcher, but they want a backup catcher who
is a veteran.
Is a veteran and is good against right-handed pitchers, because they think Jonah's a better against left-handers. And the Rangers outfielders, and we talked about this a couple days ago, they didn't hit lefties or righties. So they probably want a right-handed, a left-handed hitting outfielder. I wouldn't get too excited about the offseason. But if they sign Eovaldi, and if Roki Sasaki is posted, then go ahead and get that. And Natalie Garcia did not have surgery. It was a sprained patella tendon, so he needed 8 weeks of recovery for that. So,
but Nathan Eovaldi is the domino that's going to start that effect. So once the Rangers can come up with something there, hopefully sooner rather than later. It's a job. It's a deal they want to get done quick. So thanks for tuning in to this edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast. We're going to be talking about a lot more tomorrow, reliving some more of the Rangers ALCS. And then we are going to be gearing up for Friday with the World Series, and we might have a special guest join us this week.
We're going to have one Thursday for sure. We don't want to give it away, but it'll be good. And if you want to relive the World Series, you see that book over my shoulder, At Long Last, still available at Amazon and other retailers. So go get that. I know the guy who wrote it. He's really good.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us. Thanks for tuning in.
We all silly like the mayor.